Welcome to the Outthinker Blogcast. This is the blogcast dedicated to helping you outthink your competition. My name is Kaihan Krippendorff. Let me take you back to 1588 when 130 Spanish ships, the Spanish Armada, set sail for England. Their goal was to attack their enemy and remove the Queen of England from power. But when they got to the British shores, they found themselves inadequate to win because the British ships literally sailed circles around the Spanish Armada. It was such an uneven battle that the Spanish ships had to engineer a hasty retreat, and along the way they lost 50 of their 130 ships. Now that moment, that battle, was pivotal. It marked the beginning of British domination of the seas and changed the nature of warfare for many centuries. What was the cause of that battle, victory by England? It actually was something that seems quite minor, which is that the British had redesigned the hulls of their ships. They took an old Spanish design of a galleon ship, and they made it longer, and they removed the castles, as they're called, or the structures on the deck of the ship that lowered the center of gravity and resulted in a faster, more maneuverable ship. If you have a better designed hull, you can cut through the resistance. You can cut through the competition. How much resistance is your strategy creating? Wouldn't it be great if you had a hull, a strategy, that just cut through the resistance? Well, you can actually measure the competitive advantage of your strategy, how much resistance your strategy creates. And you can do that by going to my website, kaihan.net, and completing an online form that's there. Let me give you an example of a company who has a very high competitiveness score. This company is called Carbonite. Carbonite was founded in 2005 by two serial entrepreneurs, David Friend and Jeff Flowers. Today, 6 years later, the company is publicly traded, $60 million in revenue, growing at 100% a year. It was ranked number 9 in 2010's Inc. 500 list. It's clearly a successful company. Now, I sat down with the CEO in Times Square at the NASDAQ headquarters where he was ringing the opening bell. And I got to talk to him for about an hour about his strategy. He said a number of interesting things, but let me highlight the 3 most important pieces of the strategy, that, in my opinion. The first thing he said was, look, if competitors want to copy us, they're going to have to just adopt our pricing. We price at $59 per year for unlimited uploads. So they do backup services, and if you want to back up your computer, you sign on to Carbonite. For $59, you can you can back up an unlimited amount of data. Our competitors don't do that. They tell you you have to pay so much for 100 gigabytes, and so much for 200 gigabytes, and so much for 300 gigabytes. That's the first thing I'd have to do. Now I know what you're thinking. Hey, why couldn't any competitors do that? Well, if they got over the internal barriers to do that, because what they're afraid of is that customers are going to upload too much data and become unprofitable, they're going to have to overcome the next level of advantage of Carbonite, which is a process advantage. When Carbonite started building its business, it did something that seemed counterintuitive, which was rather than lease server space from Amazon and other cloud providers like their competitors, they built their own servers. Much more expensive, but as a result of doing that, now their operating costs are lower. It's sort of like buying a house, putting a big down payment on it, and then your mortgage payments are lower. So they've got a lower mortgage payment, you could say, on their servers, as a result of which they can be profitable at a lower price point. The second thing they do is, since they have their own servers, they chose servers that were optimized for what they do, and they layered onto it some proprietary software. So the ratio of storage space to processing power in most servers is fairly low, meaning that servers have a lot of processing power relative to their storage, whereas a Carbonite server has a lot of storage and a little bit of processing power. And that makes sense for the type of service they're in, because they can spend many hours uploading your data. They don't have to upload, you don't have to process your data very quickly. They can be patient. As a result of it, that further lowers their cost basis. So if you want to compete with Carbonite, what you have to do is you have to lower your price to $59. You're going to have to end your contract with Amazon to lease servers, and you're going to have to spend tens of millions of dollars to buy your own servers. And you're going to have to develop your own software and your own type of server in order to be optimized and to be able to compete on a cost basis with Carbonite. It is a strategy that few people are going to want to copy because the copying costs are high. You want to measure the copying costs of copying your strategy from your competitors. Let me give you an illustration of what this looks like graphically. Here is my framework. It's got 8 diamonds. It's a diamond of 8 triangles. And what it says is there are 8 dimensions to your strategy. Your positioning, your product, your promotion, your price, processes, placement or distribution, physical experience, and people. And for each of these, you want to say, am I doing something different than my competitors that customers like? And how long will it take competitors to respond? In the case of Carbonite, I really think that their product is pretty much the same as other competitors. They'll probably disagree with me, as most companies do, but their product is essentially the same, so I give them a 0. On promotion, they do something interesting in promotion, which the CEO shared with me, but I think that competitors can copy that within 4 years. So I gave them a 1. So you give yourself a 1 if your competitors can copy you within 4 years. Now, under pricing and under processes, I gave them a 2 because it would take competitors 5 or more years, I think, for them to copy. So if you add these up, 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. The Carbonite gets an Outthinker score, as I call it, of 5. How high is your Outthinker score? The higher the Outthinker score, my research says, the faster you're going to grow for the next 5 years and the more profitable you're going to be for the next 5 years. So take the time to measure your Outthinker score and see how you can introduce new winning moves to increase your competitiveness. If you do that, you're going to end up with a ship that is designed with a hull that will cut through the competition, that will sail circles around your competition.